In this video I want to show you how to use the ignore sites lists in Web Content Studio, and this is Web Content Studio version 2. It is different on the Spider page. We've got this down here, temporary ignore site list. Now up in the options we've also got, let me just bring this over so you can see, we've also got ignore list, and that opens up another screen. Let me just reorganize this slightly. Okay, brings up another screen where you've got the ignore words, which you should be familiar with. That's in the first version of Web Content Studio, and sites to ignore when spidering. This again was also in the first version of Web Content Studio. Anything you put in here will be ignored in Google when it goes to collect URLs. So for example, if I just put YouTube, then any URL that has YouTube in the URL will be ignored. That will be youtube.com, but any other site that also has the word YouTube in the URL. So if somebody has used YouTube in the title of a URL, then that one will be ignored. So the best thing to do is here be as specific as possible and say you only want youtube.com. Let me remove that for the moment, and I'm going to just save it and close it. Now those options that you just saw are global. They will occur for every search, every spider that you run. Okay, so anything in there is always going to be ignored from the URLs. There might be a time when you decide you want to just ignore a URL for a particular spider search. Let's just do an example. I'm going to do a search, WordPress tutorials, and I'm going to leave it in meta tags because I'm only really interested in the URL list that comes up. As it's doing the spidering, you can see the URLs appearing here. This is new in version 2, and it's there just so you can keep an eye on what URLs are being shown. If I go back to the Run Spider page, I can pull up the list of the last URLs that were spidered. So I can see that the first ones are WP Beginner, lots of WP Beginners, then SiteGround, then we've got a YouTube down here as well. Let's just go and say in my ignore list, let's just say I want to ignore youtube.com. Save that, and I'm going to just do the spider run again. Okay, go back to the Run Spider page. If we look at the View Last Harvested URLs, we should see that any YouTube URLs are now missing, which they are, because there was one down here, position 9 or 10 or something. Now let's suppose we want to get rid of, let's say, this WP Beginner, and we don't want to add it to the global ignore sites list because it's going to be a very specific ignore. Let's just say we want to have WP Beginner websites ignored. We can put in WP Beginner. If it's something a bit more generic, you could put in the .com or the extension to make sure that you're actually ignoring that. And let's just have a look at the spider again. Okay, we'll go back to the Run Spider page, look at the URLs that were used, and you'll see that the WP Beginner sites have all been stripped out as well. And to reinstate that, it's as simple as just clearing the box, and if you then do the spider again, you'll see that WP Beginner URLs, you just saw those there perhaps in the first few that were being downloaded, but we can go back and just check, and then we have the WP Beginners back in. So just a reminder then, ignore lists, these are global ignore lists. Anything you put in here will be ignored on every search spider that you run. The ones you put in here are only ignored for the current run that you are doing. So if you spot something in your list here and you think, well, I don't want that, then you can easily remove it.